Joining me now is Stefanie Turner. She's a mom and founder of the Tucker Project, named in honor of her son, Tucker, who died of a fentanyl poisoning in 2021. He took what he thought was a Percocet pill that he had bought online. Authorities say it is the most common way Americans are getting pills that contain this deadly drug. Stefanie, thank you for coming back to continue this conversation. I appreciate your time. For those who are not familiar with Tucker's story, tell us about your son to begin with.
My son was a 19-year-old vibrant boy trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life when he grew up, just like a typical family. He has 3 younger sisters. And unfortunately, he was offered a Xanax pill in the form of what he thought was Xanax. And for 2 months, he was taking what he thought was prescription Xanax medication. And unfortunately, it was laced with fentanyl. I didn't have any knowledge of that at all. And that is kind of my why behind that. That led into an addiction and ultimately, just a few short months later, his death. And I'm really passionate about education on the front end because Tucker and I had those conversations. I just didn't have the knowledge of fentanyl. I did not understand how lethal, how potent. I thought that it was, I knew pharmaceutical fentanyl, but I didn't know about illicit fentanyl.
And through your pain, you have found a very important purpose. As you say, you've become an advocate. What is your message to parents and to young people all across the country about the dangers and what you've learned about this drug?
Yeah, unfortunately, I learned everything far too late. And the fentanyl crisis is killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. It has killed more people than our deadliest war in history. And that is terrifying to think about. And statistically, what we know it to be the #1 cause of death, and that's a really conservative number. Reporting isn't always on that. And what we don't take into account is those who not only lose their life, but those who are now battling addiction for the rest of their life. Fentanyl causes a mass amount of dopamine to flood into the brain, and it really is hard for people to get clean from after they have become dependent on it. We also have people who have brain damage from being without oxygen for so long, and then those who are incarcerated. So when you take that toll of how many Americans this is impacting across the board, it's crazy to me that we are not doing more, and we need to demand more from those who can make the change. If you look at the numbers continue to climb. And I find that just infuriating as a parent who has lost a child, but also representing other parents who have lost children. It's really frustrating to know that we know where it's coming from and we're not doing more to not only stop the flow, but to educate the public, especially educating our youth through school initiatives. And that's with the Tucker Project that we're doing that. We're grateful. The state of Georgia has implemented it through the Department of Education. We're grateful for that, and we're working with other states as well, but it can't come fast enough.
So tell me about the Texas Against Fentanyl Project through the Tucker Project. What is your focus in schools? What would you like to see happen and is happening?
Yes. So the Tucker Project is our interdisciplinary curriculum that's written to the state standard. So it's really easy for teachers to roll that out into classrooms. And it's, evidence-based information provided in a really good way. What we found in Texas, we got House Bill 3908 passed requiring fentanyl education. It's titled Tucker's Law in honor of my son. But schools don't know, it's an unfunded mandate, and schools don't know what to teach or how to go about that. So that's our goal with the Tucker Project. And then Texas Against Fentanyl is an organization on a statewide level where we support those who have lost. We also work with law enforcement, and we're pushing for legislative changes on a statewide level and ultimately federally as well.
Stefanie, when you speak to young people in your state, across the country, what do you believe is the biggest misconception about this deadly drug?
The knowledge. There's a general awareness, but the only way we're going to move from awareness to knowledge is through education. And when a kid is offered a pill or something else, fentanyl isn't exclusive to pills. It can be found in anything. You can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. It is being added. Here in Central Texas, we just had we had 79 fentanyl poisonings in 1 week in Travis County, resulting in 9 deaths. That number is terrible, but what they were confiscating was fentanyl that was laced with marijuana. And that's very scary. So explaining it, just that you don't always know what it is. Most people aren't seeking out fentanyl. It's put into something and then it creates a dependency.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.